Well, the big themes, I think, start with the customer. There were, I think, a lot of questions about the pace of growth for the power business. We're just coming off of 2 years of very flat growth, and I think although the economy is improving and year-to-date power use is up, I think there's a lot of trepidation that this business may have shifted into a low growth or slow growth future. And of course, that seems to create a big challenge. There was a lot of focus in our discussion with our power CEOs this morning about the cost momentum that results, particularly if you don't have growth, but you've got a lot of capital expenditures to make on renewables, on transmission, on efficiency, on just fixing up an aging infrastructure. And so I think the affordability issue was certainly top of mind. And we saw that not with only our CEOs from the US side, but at lunch, from the European perspective, the power price and affordability is certainly a big issue to customers. And there's another flip side of that we're hearing about this week that I think is a signal of a real emerging issue, which is industrial competitiveness. That, when you think about the energy bill to industrials, power is about a third of it. And so relative power prices have been spreading, both state to state in the U.S. and between countries, the U.S. and its major trading partners. And this is having an effect, particularly when the IHS macroeconomic outlook is for a bit of a manufacturing renaissance. So who's going to benefit from the renaissance will be determined in part by who's got attractive energy and power prices. Of course, I think there's a bit of a surprise with regard to CO2 emissions. I don't think people really planned on an innovation like shale gas would make fossil fuels more abundant, more affordable, and also the substitution of natural gas-fired generation for coal would put our CO2 emissions today roughly where they were back in 1990. So the U.S. has kind of stabilized its emissions in large part because of what's happened on the shale gas side, and to a lesser extent from the progress that's been made on wind and solar. But together, that's really kind of a stunning result. And it's very different from what's happening elsewhere in the world. And I think one of the big emerging themes here too is kind of the divergent paths. You've got the U.S. moving in a way to diminish its reliance on coal. We've got Asia, particularly China, that continues to use more and more coal in its power generation. The net effect being globally, our CO2 emissions are up 50% compared to 1990 levels. So we've got some power systems moving towards more coal, some moving away, and some real disparities on the changes in emissions as well as power prices.